Hello everybody, it's Peter Sciretta from Slashfilm.com, and I'm here in San Diego at Comic-Con International 2012, and I'm here with
Angie Han,
Germain, Lussier,
and Russ, Fischer.
And on preview night of every year at Comic-Con, in Ballroom 20, they show all the new geek pilots, television pilots for the upcoming season. And today we're going to talk about, I think, 5 of them. We're going to talk about Revolution, we're going to talk about Arrow, we're going to talk about 666 Park Avenue, Cult, and the following. But first up, we're going to talk about Revolution. Revolution is the J.J. Abrams produced, Jon Favreau directed, co-created by the Supernatural guy. It's post-apocalyptic. Electricity has gone out, power has gone out, and it's kind of like how society kind of turns it, what it turns into. Right. I saw this. Who saw this set of? Okay.
Angie, you and I saw it. Yeah.
What did you think, Russ?
I like the concept. I like the idea. It's a good setup. The whole idea that machines, anything that requires power doesn't work. Machines don't work. Anything that needs batteries, all that stuff is gone. Or so we think. There's hints that it may not be as absolute as that. But it's, we see the United States reduced to this kind of almost like a green leafy Mad Max sort of thing, where there are these kind of warlords, regional warlords that have taken up, and we see Giancarlo Esposito, who's kind of the strongman for one of these generals who's taken power in a certain area in Chicago and around Chicago, and essentially there are 2 guys, one of whom is played by Billy Burke, and then his brother, who were around at the beginning. They work for the army or the military in some way, and they become the object of this general's attentions. He wants them to show up and kind of tell him what they know. He seems to think they know something about maybe how to get the power back on or whatever. And so there's this conflict right from the beginning. And the thing the pilot gets the story moving pretty quick. It's pretty brisk in terms of it sets up the power apocalypse, and then it really quickly sets up what things are like 15 years later. But none of the characters are all that intriguing. They're all, it's very pilot sort of thing where you can see like very rough sketches of like Billy Burke's character, who he's a military guy who's kind of established his own little Deadwood-like fiefdom somewhere, and doesn't want to be found, just kind of wants to live out his life. You've got his brother and his niece and nephew who run afoul of the general's militia, and so there's this kind of swirl of weird pseudo-military thing, and there's a chase that goes on, and so there's a setup that's interesting because you've got a clear scenario, which is there's no power. You've got a clear object, which is maybe there's a way to get the power back on. You've got people who may or may not know something about how to make that happen. So the setup is all pretty good, but right now the characters are pretty broad. But
not even just the characters, the casting is just horrible down the line. Aside from maybe the guy that plays Gus on Breaking Bad, who's in the
Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah.
He was the only standout for me too.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a lot that isn't explained. Like no one's using modern guns in there, but they can use like muskets, and I don't know. There's some weird stuff. This is the one. This is the pilot out of all the pilots that I was most excited for, and this is the one that disappointed me the most. I'm going to give it a couple episodes because I know that a good pilot it's hard to come by. Not every pilot can be Lost or Breaking Bad, and sometimes it takes a few episodes to get going. But I'm a little nervous.
I'm with both of them in that the premise I like, especially it sounds great on paper. It's a pretty interesting idea, but I didn't feel like they did anything very interesting with it. And what bothered me more was, as Russ and Peter both said, the characters just don't really do anything for me at all. I mean, like the acting wasn't very good, except for Gus from Breaking Bad. So it's possible that a lot of times with pilots, it takes the actors a little bit of time to sort of like get into their characters. So
and the script's got to catch up to the acting. The characters get tailored to the actor as there's time to see how everybody works with their material, and we clearly haven't time to see where that goes yet.
So maybe it'll be better down the line, but at this point I couldn't care less about what happened to any of these people, because even though the premise was kind of moderately interesting, I was just like, I don't you can die in a fire. I really don't care.
Yeah, and CW is doing a Smallville-like Green Arrow show called Arrow. Germain has seen it.
Yes.
Tell us how horrible it is.
Great transition. Yeah, Arrow's based on the comic book Green Arrow, the DC comic, and this is like DC Entertainment's first foray into like television, this whole like new DC thing, and it's the story of a guy who is shipwrecked. His name's Oliver Queen, and he's like the son of a billionaire, sort of a Bruce Wayne type, and he disappears for 5 years. Everybody thinks he's dead, and then one day he gets found, and while on the island, somehow he learned all these great powers, and decides to go back to Gotham. Oh, not Gotham, sorry, wherever it is, and fight crime. But he's very well known. He's on the news, so when he goes out, he puts a hood on, and everybody doesn't know who he is. And on the island, when he's there for 5 years, he learned how to, make arrows and hook up, really have internet connections and, hot wire, all these different things, and do these like crazy.
Can he do all of those things with the arrows? Like, can he shoot a car and hot wire it?
Oh, he does. He does an arrow that downloads information. So yeah, or maybe it's an arrow, but it's something that looks like an arrow that's in the wall, and it's like the guy can't find it. How is he stealing my $40 million?
Do they explain? Does it feel right that like they explain why he's just like he has all this money and he's using arrows, not like these super high tech guns?
Well, no,
because like that bothered me about like Hawkeye.
No. Well, the thing is that's the problem. That's the rub of this pilot is that like it's a pretty cool setup. And okay, Green Arrow, I get it. Okay, maybe because he was on an island and was only forced to use bow and arrows, like a homemade bow and arrow. Okay, that's why he's all adept with the bow and arrow now. But then he gets home and he uses like high tech stuff that makes no sense. And the guy who plays Arrow is named Stephen Amell.
I think.
Yeah, that's it. And he's not bad for like a CW show, and like he's kind of watchable and kind of fun. You can see sort of where it's going with his character. He's sort of used to be an ass, and now he's sort of different, but he's trying to pretend like he's still an ass because he has to be different because he puts a hood on. I don't know. Honestly, it wasn't as bad as I'm saying. It was just very frustrating that these obvious things weren't sort of hammered home in the pilot. I think maybe as we go down, they'll show Angie humorously but probably correctly suggested that it was like the Lost Island and there was like some sort of Dharma initiative that had all this like tech stuff, which is probably going to happen. But I don't know. I think the show a lot of comic people are going to be interested in and roll their eyes at, but maybe stick with. I mean, I don't think I'm going to watch another episode, but...
And another pilot we saw was 666 Park Avenue. Russ, what do you think of 666 Park Avenue?
So 666 Park Avenue has Terry O'Quinn, Locke from Lost, and Vanessa Williams as kind of this power couple who own 999 Park Avenue in Manhattan.
Oh, I get it.
Exactly. Right? It's really, really subtle, dude. So Terry O'Quinn is kind of a self-made man. Like he bought this building years ago, but he might also be the devil. Or he might be an agent of the devil. Yeah. It's unclear.
And the building might have some ties to a cult or the devil or something.
The building might also eat people. It's unclear there. But basically, it's the sort of thing where O'Quinn's character and tries to rope tenants into this building, which is not very difficult to do because it's a gorgeous building and a great piece of real estate. And maybe their dreams can come true, and they're selling their souls for their dreams to come true. And like the pilot opens with is a violinist playing during a symphony recital, and as he's playing, his fingers start to bleed, and O'Quinn and Williams are watching him, and he kind of sees his fingers bleeding, and he goes running home, and he packs his stuff, and we learn he's trying to escape the building because somehow the building owns his soul, and he does not escape, and that's part of where the building maybe eating people comes in. In the meantime, there's this young couple that have moved to the city recently, and like the guy works for the mayor's office, and his wife is like what the hell does she do? Nothing really. Yeah. She's blonde and cute. And she likes to research things in the library, which is very helpful because that helps us learn some of the building's history. Oh my God.
It's Ghostbusters meets Lost with the devil.
That's basically what it is, yeah.
Meets American Horror.
Totally. Story.
Yeah. And this couple is tremendously dull, as seen in the pilot. Maybe they will be developed into something that really works.
Which the young couple or the older couple?
The young couple is really dull.
Okay.
O'Quinn and Vanessa Williams are interesting by virtue of being O'Quinn and Vanessa Williams.
Sure, yeah.
So the recognizance that they have kind of gives it a little bit of weight. But even those characters aren't, there's this big mystery. What is he really the devil? What is the building doing? What's the history of the building? But I didn't really care. I wasn't very interested in where it goes. It has the feeling where it could be almost kind of like an old Friday the 13th series, where there'd be like some constant characters, but then also like a mystery of the week, or a weird soul possession of the week, and it all just felt really middle ground and really humorless and not very imaginative, and I was not at all taken in by it.
You know what? Hearing you describe it makes it sound so bad. But you know what? I was watching this. I had no expectations going in. I didn't know what the show was about, and I got sucked in more ways than like. I got sucked in the way that I imagined Revolution would suck me in. Like it kind of that horror, like the mystery. I think I am really attracted to the mystery of the building and of the Walk or Terry O'Quinn character.
Yeah.
I really think it has potential, especially with so many tenants being in the building, and there's so many story of the week or interesting things you could do there, and exploring where this goes, because I have a feeling that they have some ideas of where this goes and the twists and turns it might take. And
I hope so, because we know if they don't have an idea, that's not a good thing.
Well, and how long can the show really go? You've got 2 seasons, maybe 3, because how long can you really stretch this out in terms of there are all these tenants. You've got the young couple who O'Quinn's character basically hires as these kind of weird building managers, like the sort of building manager that I've never heard of in real life before, where he gives them this fabulous apartment, but clearly he wants one of their souls for some reason. That's one of the mysteries.
But he
don't
also
really know what he wants yet.
But he also owns some other buildings and some other properties, so it could go in those directions.
Yeah.
Anyways, we should move on to
Yeah.
a CW show, Cult. Angie, you saw it. I saw the first 10 minutes. You saw almost the whole episode.
I saw all but the last 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, so between us, we
So
saw all
I
of
think
the
we've
first.
seen enough to actually accurately review the film on a major website. Or give a reaction. So what is it about?
Just say what you
Okay,
thought.
so this is a little confusing, so bear with me. But it's about Cult is about a TV show called Cult,
Which is also on the CW.
yes, is also on CW.
And this is not the Kevin Williamson show, which is kind of awkward,
Yes.
right? So we keep going.
It's about a TV show called Cult, and on the real TV show, these people keep, there's like a string of murders, and you start to figure out that it's somehow connected to the show. So basically, this TV show Cult is about a show called Cult, which is inspiring a cult. So that's what it's about. It's executive produced by Josh Schwartz and Stephanie Savage, who are the people behind like Gossip Girl and Chalk. And it's really cheesy, but it's like what you expect from CW cheese. So I actually really had a good time with it. I thought it was like kind of, not taking itself too seriously. I don't know that it's something that I would watch, that tune into religiously every week, but it's something that I could see being a fun way to pass the time. But Peter did not feel that way.
I hated it. I only made it through 10 minutes of it before I stopped watching it. It really is like, it's what you say. If you like CW shows, you might like this show. I liked Gossip Girl the first season, or Chuck first season, and this I don't know. This felt more like Scream 3. You mentioned Kevin Williamson. It felt like something he would have written a couple years ago with this meta angle that doesn't really feel like it does anything. And there's like this prop of websites that are fans that are obsessed with the show. I don't know. It just feels very forced to me.
What was weird about it to me was that it was like I'm watching a show about another more insanely successful show that the real show that I'm watching clearly would like it to be like have like that kind of cult following. So.
And it's weird, the executive producer listed on the fictional show inside the show is the same executive producer of the show. So it's very confusing even talking about it. So,
So you said something about cult following and Kevin Williamson. And Kevin Williamson has a show called Following, which is about a cult. But
not a Pokemon.
No, sort of. All right, so Following is this Fox show starring Kevin Bacon and James Purfoy. And James Purfoy was on Rome and stuff. You'll totally recognize him. Is this serial killer who's been in prison for years and years? Got put away by Kevin Bacon, and at the beginning of the show, he escapes. And they call Kevin Bacon to try to find him. And Kevin Bacon obviously had dedicated his whole career to this guy, and he's sort of a super famous serial killer that has like all these people who are like in love with him, like with his insanity and his madness. And What ends up happening is, in trying to find him in the pilot episode, trying to find where the serial killer is, it turns out that he, while he was in prison, was putting all these people in place to sort of be his following. And it's sort of like, and that's sort of revealed across the pilot, so it's a little bit of a spoiler to say that. I should have given a warning beforehand. But it's like, that's what the show's about anyway, so after one episode, that's the show. He, I won't say exactly what happens in the pilot, but it's really awesome. I was just so into it. I mean, a part of it was, it's Kevin Bacon, it's Maggie Grace is in the first episode, Purfoy, and they're just doing really well, and it's a really sort of interesting plot, and so much happens in the pilot, it just moves. It's like it could have been a whole movie in this one 45-minute pilot, and then where it ends, you're like, man, I want to see the sequel, and you're going to get to see the sequel next week. I thought it was awesome. You guys saw it, right?
Yeah, the interesting thing about it is it feels unlike Kevin Williamson's shows in the past, Dawson's Creek, Vampire Diaries, or the Scream movies. It feels completely different. It doesn't feel like teenagers spouting off like witty dialogue and whatever. But at the same time, if you think about it, it is about this person who caught the serial killer back when, who did all these murders in this town, and he returns to the town to try to find him again, which is basically the Scream movies if you think about it.
And the use of the internet and stuff is sort of his other shows. He's always obsessed with like social media and stuff, and that has a lot to do with it. Yeah.
But it's so interesting how, unlike, you're going to watch the show and it doesn't feel like any of his other stuff. And
it doesn't even feel like him at all.
Yeah, this is probably the show I came out of liking the most, and it was the biggest surprise to me because I thought I was kind of over Kevin Williamson, and I highly recommend it.
For the first 10 minutes, I was, I was like, oh, great, it's another show about a drunk cop who cares too much and, that kind of thing. But it gets really good, actually, pretty quickly. Kevin Bacon, unsurprisingly, is great. James Purfoy is fantastic. And what I thought that they did a really good job of is making the environment feel really dangerous, because sometimes in a show like this, it feels like they're sort of pulling their punches, but this one to me felt like they were willing to go dark like fast, and they were willing to go there.
It sort of has a little bit of a Psycho in the middle of it, the pilot episode. The thing is that we were like you guys were saying about Revolution, where maybe they didn't grow into the characters. This pilot is so strong. It's not like Breaking Bad, Sopranos strong, but it's really strong for a network show. I was like, I don't know if it can hold up, because the pilot, should be one of the best episodes of the series. I don't know if it can hold up because, like I said, Purfoy was the focus now in the first episode, and then it seems like he sort of becomes a secondary character, but on the outside, looking at, sort of being like a puppeteer almost. I don't know if that sort of narrative is going to work as well.
Another interesting thing is, because there's this whole prior backstory of the whole first serial killer case and him chasing him. I thought that they started to do some flashbacks to that, and I thought, oh no, this is going to be like Lost over again. So the whole season we're going to see flashbacks to this prior case, and they pretty much give you everything in the first episode, which makes me think that you're not.
But you don't feel like they're just holding back for the sake of holding back, which too many shows do.
Right, but like I said, it shows so much in this pilot, and it's like I said, it is a movie. It has there are flashbacks and storylines that come to fruition all in this one pilot, and then they do leave you in this great spot. And I don't know if the great spot is as good as the first episode. It's my only reason to be a little bit weary. Otherwise, I can't wait to see what happens next.
I can see the premise being good for like a miniseries. I'm not sure how it's going to hold up over like several seasons, but then again, that's thinking way too far ahead.
Exactly,
we don't even know.
I think,
for now, I'm definitely tuning into the second episode.
Yeah, I think out of the 5, we haven't all seen all of them, but I think that's probably the one we react the strongest to.
Yeah.
Watch that one.
All right.
So anyways, keep watching our coverage of Comic-Con 2012. We'll be here all week and all weekend giving you the latest updates of all the panels in Hall H, Ballroom 20. We got a lot of great TV this year. We got a lot of great movie panels. So just keep on watching. We'll have video blogs. We'll have posts on the site, and keep with us.